everyone, my name is Elle and welcome to my channel. Today I am going to be sharing with you my project pan update for my Everyday Essentials project pan. And I have finished a lot of products in the last month and a bit, so I'm really happy with what I've done so far with this project. So the first thing I will talk about is a product that I finished, and that is from Wet n Wild, and that is the Photofocus Eyeshadow Primer. So I loved this stuff. I just absolutely fell for it. So I've started to use the Urban Decay Primer Potion again, and it is a little bit better, honestly, but not by much. So this is where I'm sort of torn, because the Urban Decay is better for long periods of time, but for shorter periods of time, the Wet n Wild holds up really well. And I have very oily eyelids. If I just put eyeshadow or eyeliner on a bare lid, it will get eaten within like an hour. It's not good. So that's why I use an eyeshadow primer, and the Wet n Wild one held up really well. So I do feel like there's an occasion for both of them. So I think I will repurchase the Wet n Wild at some point, because that way I can make the Urban Decay one last longer. Because for situations like filming videos, the Wet n Wild would be perfect. And then I can save the Urban Decay for when I need my eyeshadow to last from, say, 6 o'clock in the morning to 7 o'clock at night. That's what's really going to hold the shadow in place the best. Just from my own little comparison trials, I just noticed that my eyeshadow didn't crease and just stayed looking fresh longer with the Urban Decay for longer periods of time. So anyway, this is a really good product though. It's very comparable to the Urban Decay Eyeshadow Primer Potion, which is why I like it so much. I've tried a lot of different things for eyeshadow primers as well, and these two are the best, hands down. The next product I have is from NYX, and this is the Above and Beyond Full Coverage Concealer in green. So I was using this as a color corrector, and I finally finished this guy as well. So this one I normally use on my forehead where I have psoriasis, and on a few spots on my face. I have a few like tiny little like acne scars because I had a few really bad breakouts when I had some bad reactions to products, and I really feel like a green color concealer is the best thing for it, because it just really neutralizes that redness, and then I can cover it so much easier so the redness doesn't peek through, or at least not peek through nearly as much. That was the problem I had with the NYX one. If I really layered it on thick, you could not see the redness underneath. But if I went really sparingly with it, you could definitely see it peek through. So I had to go really heavy-handed with it. That really only works in a situation like this, where I have a ring light and 3 softboxes and umbrella lights. Like, I've got all the lighting on me. So it really sort of does that magic. In person, it's way too much. So I have purchased a different green concealer to see if that one will work better for me. I don't plan on repurchasing this one just because it didn't do what I wanted it to. But the formula is pretty good. If it was just a little bit more of a pigmented green, I feel like I would have had more success with it. It definitely would be a good color corrector if you have mild redness. Psoriasis is a really tricky thing to cover, so it's a little, I need something a little bit more intense. The next product is also something I finished. I told you I finished a lot of things. So this is the Becca Under Eye Corrector, and I talked about this in my Reverse Rouge update because this was purchased at Sephora. I love this stuff. I repurchased it already. This is definitely a ride or die product for me. It completely erases my under eye circles. It's like magic. I didn't think I was going to miss it as much when I finished it, and I was trying to make other things work, and then no. I don't sleep very well anymore. I'm very stressed, and so I need the magic of makeup to hide that. And this is one of those products that really hides it. Like, it fools even me. I would look at myself and be like, yeah, I look completely well rested and ready to go, and inside, I'm not. I'm far from it, but at least I can look that way on the outside. I just recently finished this guy. This is the BareMinerals Stroke of Light Eye Brightener. So I was sometimes using this on its own and sometimes combining it with the Becca, and this is the sort of liquid version of it. I really liked this, although I'm not 100% if I'm going to purchase it. I just finished it like 2 days ago, so I'm giving myself a little breather to see if I miss it, what I miss about it, if I want to try something else. Because there's a lot more liquid correctors that I've come across. I really like mixing the cream and the liquid together because you really get that extra brightness. But the liquid is good on its own when I'm doing a lighter base look, like the sort of weekend makeup with BB cream. Then this pairs much better with it than the Becca. I find the Becca too thick for like a BB cream. It doesn't end up meshing well together, but a light BB cream and a liquid corrector works so well. So, you know, I don't know if I'll repurchase the BareMinerals or not. Not sure. If you guys have any liquid color correctors for under the eye, something like in a pinky peachy color, let me know what you guys like. The next product is something that I am still working on. This is from the Body Shop and it is the Lightening Shade Adjusting Drops. So I've made very little progress with this, but that's because I don't use a whole lot at one time. Generally, I'm not trying to dramatically lighten my foundation. I only need to lighten it a little bit. So you're looking sort of like 3 parts foundation, 1 part mixer. So you don't need to use a whole lot of drops. I don't like this packaging though. I find that it really malfunctions on me, just trying to like get proper amounts out. So I tend to just dump. Not the best thing. This is definitely a flawed packaging, or I just got one that was flawed. I like the product because it's just a white mixer. There's nothing luminous or weird about it. It's just straight up white, so it doesn't change texture and finish of foundations. Obviously, the foundation is sort of special. It will do that. Thinking I have one that's like a liquid to powder, and yeah, that mixing it with this does change it a little bit, but in general it really does not change things, and it just lightens stuff up. So it's a really good product. I feel like it might take me a while to get through this, but I'm not complaining about that because I like it. I'll mention these pretty quickly because I'm still working on them. The Becca Aqualuminous concealer and the Kat Von D Lock It concealer creme in whiteout. So I don't know, I don't really like the Kat Von D that much. I just don't like the formula. I find it ends up getting kind of creasy. The Becca Aqualuminous is really such a good concealer. I just don't like the color. Like, I find that it's a little bit too yellow. So I try and mix the two together to try and get that brightness under the eyes. But when that product like that is too yellow, it's hard because it just never ends up working out quite right. But I really love the formula. I just wish that the shades ran a little bit more on the pink side. And I know a lot of people will probably disagree with me on that, but that's just because that's what works for me. And I find that a lot of Becca products in general tend to lean very much towards yellow tones as opposed to pink. So I'm definitely making really good progress with this though. I feel like by the next update, I will have finished this for sure. Also still working away on the Anasazi concealers, 0.5 and 0.75. So I do like these. I like them more than I did before starting this project, honestly. I found some pretty good ways to use them. I tend to use 0.5 to do my eyebrows. I've started to try and do my eyebrows before, like almost the very first thing I'll do, and then I sort of try and carve them out with concealer, and then I leave a little bit of concealer. So instead of trying to blend it away into skin that doesn't have any foundation or anything, I just leave the concealer there, and then when I put foundation on, I can sort of blend the foundation into the concealer, and that tends to work pretty well. And then for 0.75, I will use it to conceal any spots that I still might need it once I have foundation on top of it, because where it's just that tiny bit darker than 0.5, it seems to match better with my foundation, where 0.5 tends to be a little bit too light for my foundation. So I found ways to use both of them. So there's a lot in here though. I just would really like to hit pan on 0.75. I had hit pan on 0.5 before, so I'm just going to work away on them. I'm not necessarily keeping this project open till I've finished all products either. It will get to a point where it's sort of redundant. Like if I'm just left with like 3 concealers, I'm going to call it quits and then move them into other projects. So anyway, moving on to the Silica Gel Microspheres. So I've also made good progress with this. I use this a lot. This is a setting powder that I repurposed in this Laura Mercier jar. I still have this. I haven't put any more from the packet into the container, but I feel like I can almost do that now. Dump the rest of the little packet in here. This is just looks so wrong, but it's a really good product. It makes my skin look really smooth and soft, and it just really gives your skin that airbrushed finish. I really enjoy using that. We're getting down there now. The Smashbox contour palette looks pretty much the same, to be honest. It's hard, I think, to see progress on that. I tend to use it fairly lightly during the daytime, so there's just not a whole lot of progress to show. So out of the last 6 products, 5 of them I've finished. So I'll mention the one I have not finished first. That's the Benefit Highbrow. So this is a pencil that you are supposed to use to highlight your brow area. And I have used it that way on occasion. I'm not crazy about it because I don't feel like it brightens that much. I feel like it's a little bit too pink, but it does make a good base. So if I put it on first and then whatever I wanted to highlight my brow bone with afterwards, it just makes it pop a little bit more. And I was using it a little bit on my waterline, and then someone said like maybe I shouldn't. So I looked it up and I couldn't find out if it was safe or not. It was a little confusing. Like I saw some other people saying that they had used this in their waterline, and then nowhere does it say that you can actually do that safely. So I've still done it from time to time, but generally when I'm not going to be wearing makeup for a long time, just because I don't want to put anything in my eye that's not safe. And to wrap this update up, 5 more finished products. I'm so happy with the way that I've managed to use these things without even really trying that hard to use them. It was just daily use. So the first thing I'll talk about is the Milani Brow Tint pen. This is a felt tip brow color, and it's just exactly what it sounds like. It's like a little marker for your brows, and it was good for filling in little spots. Gotta say, I'm still working up the whole brow thing, the whole situation here, trying a few different things, but this was a good product to have. Whenever I noticed a little tiny gap that I somehow missed or that product would not stick to, this was a good product to put in there. I didn't like the color though. The shade was a little bit too warm. I really need a cooler brown. So I would definitely buy a product like this before because it did work really well. I just need something that's a more appropriate color match. I also finished the Benefit 3D Browtones, which I talked about in my Reverse Rouge update as well. This was an okay product. It was interesting. I would use it when I went too heavy-handed on my brows, and I will say from time to time I have missed it because it's this like highlighting product, so it would make my brows a little bit lighter. So when I go too heavy-handed and I get that sort of like cartoon villainous brows going, something like this really would help to lighten and just give a little bit extra dimension to my brows, because like I said, I'm still learning how to do them and what works right. So this was a product that I liked. I'm not in love with it. So I don't feel like I'm going to repurchase it, but maybe I will sometime down the line. Next, I have this little guy from Eiko. This is a liquid eyeliner, which I finally finished. So I normally would just use this when I'm wearing like false eyelashes. So generally only when I'm filming. I don't tend to brave the liquid liner in day-to-day use. I don't have the time for that. I'm not a very precise person when it comes to stuff like that. Like I can't make a straight line on a piece of paper. How am I going to make a straight line on my face? I just can't do it. This started to fray a little bit at the end, so it got a little bit challenging to use even when there was still a little bit of product in there. I don't like when these sort of pen liners do that. The ends fray and they get little hangy doodle things, and it just makes it really challenging to use, especially when you are already challenged when it comes to making lines that are straight. You don't need any other things in your way. So this was okay. You know, another thing I'm not crazy about, but I haven't found like my holy grail liquid eyeliner yet. I like the Stila Stay All Day. I like the Kat Von D, but neither enough that, you know, it was like, this is my thing that I love for the rest of time. So I'm working on an e.l.f. one right now, and when I finish that one, I'll have to look through my stash and see if I have any other little guys hanging on, and then I'll have to figure out where to go from there. It's good that I'm working through all these like deluxe size stuff though, because then I get to open this whole new window of possibilities and I get to try new stuff. And finally, to wrap everything up, I have finished 2 mascara products. So the first one is actually a lash primer. It's the Benefit They're Real Lash Primer, and this is one of my favorite things I own. I do have one more little deluxe size like this remaining, because when Sephora had a promo, I managed to get my hands on a ton of them, and I've just been working through them and I love it. So basically, instead of like a lot of lash primers you might be familiar with, this is a brown one. I like to wear this on its own on days where I'm doing a light makeup or when I know I'm going to be like filming later, and I'm like, I'm going to do a little bit of light makeup to go out and then I can build upon it later. I just find that mascara also looks so much good. I also feel like mascara looks so good on top of this, and you don't have to worry about hiding the white. Don't get me wrong, I love my white lash primers and they do work really well, but you have to be extra cautious, and this just on its own looks like a really beautiful brown mascara and just gives you like really natural lashes, and then when you put your favorite mascara or whatever it is on top of it, it's just like pow. I love lash primers because I have really short natural lashes, and so a lash primer really just gives me that little bit of an extra boost that I feel like I really need. And the last product is the mascara from Tarte, the Lights Camera Lashes mascara. All of the font has worn away from this as well, and this is a really good mascara. I feel like it made my lashes look really full, really long, or longer than they normally are. They definitely don't give you like a false lash effect, but I have never come across a mascara that does that for my lashes anyway. So for what it was really good, and I would definitely repurchase this again at some point. I know this is like a travel size. I don't think I purchased this specifically. I'm pretty sure this came in a set, but I would definitely purchase the full size of it because it was a really good mascara. Sometimes I find that with mascaras, my lashes end up looking shorter because they get clumpier, and this, you know, the long lashes, especially paired with the Benefit Lash Primer, it's such a good combination. I don't find it works that well with a white lash primer, but with the Benefit one, it works really well. Give you those, you know, full sort of luscious looking lashes. All right, so that is everything for this update. I finished like half of the products, so I'm really happy about that. And because of that, I feel like I will end the project next month. I will do the last update / finale, probably the end of September, because I feel like at that point I will probably have finished at least 1 or 2 more things, and then the project pans just aren't fun anymore for me. I want to be working on stuff that I know I can finish, and as opposed to having like 3 updates in a row where it's like, here's a little bit of progress, here's a little bit of progress. It's just not as exciting to me. So I feel like some of the products I'm still working on, I will just roll over into other future projects. But I'm very happy with this. This is definitely a successful project. But let me know what project pans you're working on, if any, if you're just working on any products. I'm really curious to know. And if you happen to join me on this using some of your everyday products, not really trying to pan them like some people really work hard on panning them, just sort of using them like you normally would, I'd like to know how that is working for you, because this is the first time I ever did something like this, like no pressure, and it was the easiest way to finish things. Like I just was not trying to finish them, and I just did it naturally. So I'm very happy. Anyway, thank you guys so much for all of your love. If you are watching this to the very end, you know what I'm talking about. I will chat with you guys more hopefully soon. I'll probably do a chatty get ready with me or something like that, because I feel like that's absolutely necessary right now. Anyway, that is really all I have to say. Thank you so much, and I will talk to you soon. Bye for now.